Hello and welcome to the 10th ever episode of the Eco Bitch Actress podcast. I'm your host, Sadie C, and here's my co-host, Superman. Yo, what up? This is the 10th ever episode. Yay. You know what? It's also the last episode of the season 1. I have decided that I will end the season here and have a season 2. Because my first episode of this season, the content was amazing, but the audio was pretty bad, and I don't know how to fix it. I've been telling people to start with episode 2 and skip episode 1. So I'm gonna do a season 2. You know, I see those podcasts with like episode 465. That's really crazy. How long would it take them to make episode 465? That's a chunk of my life. I don't know if I want to spend on podcasting for like 7 people. Let's plug my show. So my show is this weekend, July 13th. And for practice, I've been going to open mics. And I went to one last night, which inspired my eco tip for today. So if this is your first time listening, first of all, I have a video version. It's called Eco Bitch Actress. On YouTube, you can find it. Sometimes it's funnier there. And oh my God, what was I gonna say? If it's your first time here, the podcast will consist of a very fun eco tip that are great for the environment, might not be for you, but who cares? Followed by an actress story that happened to me. Like, they are all for real. None of them are made up. If you want an insider scoop into Hollywood, whatever. Okay, let's start with the eco tip, which was inspired by the open mic last night, which went very well. But someone mentioned Cybertruck, and they are roasting Cybertruck, which I'm neutral to Cybertruck. But today I need to make a PSA, a very important statement of please don't antagonize the Tesla drivers because of what Elon did. First of all, I don't know politics. I don't watch the news because I studied mass communication media in undergrad, and I know news make you depressing. So I do not watch the news, which is a smart move on my end. And this podcast has nothing to do with politics. So Elon Musk, I don't care who he makes friends with on the politics side because I don't know enough. I'm not going to comment on that. But on the eco front, which is what the podcast is all about, Elon did make Tesla the car company which sells electric cars, which are a better choice than gas cars in helping the environment because obviously, electric cars, it's not zero carbon emission, but compared to gas, it's way less. And carbon dioxide is what's heating up the earth. Hello, do you feel your skin, how hot it is? That's our whole planet burning up because of all the excessive carbon emissions. It's all very obvious, but I support whatever cools us down. And I drive a Tesla. It's my brother's who moved out of state, and I just started driving his instead of buying a new car. Whoa, extra bonus eco tip, which is drive the idling car that sits at home. But anyway, my brother bought his Tesla in like 2016, 2017, a long time ago. Okay, when did Elon vilify? Something like 2025. And I'm telling you, about 90% of all Teslas were bought before 2025, which means people who bought Tesla, like my brother, we're actually the progressives, the opposite of the fascists, the communists that you're blaming or you're hating on. Because before this whole Elon controversy, people who bought Tesla were the environmental conscious people. They wanted to help save the environment. I mean, among many reasons. But it is true that by choosing Tesla, you are not pumping gas. You're not pooping out those carbon dioxide. So all that hate that you have towards Elon are directed at the wrong people when you're pointing fingers at most of the Tesla people. Because we're the opposite of what you hate. We are the Trump haters. We are the people who want greenery, who want less emissions, who want to not support gas and, oil. And I don't even think there is a group of people who are like, I love Elon and Trump. I love how Elon is a friend of Trump. That's why I'm going to go ahead and buy a Tesla in 2025. Zero, nobody, okay? It's the opposite. If those mega people have that money, they're gonna go ahead and buy a Jeep or a Hummer, okay? They're gonna buy those huge gas pooping 5 miles to the gallon cars. They're not gonna buy a Tesla. My Tesla has been scratched this year by someone who probably had the wrong idea. And I am just really saddened because your energy is directed at the wrong person. This is all a huge misunderstanding that needs to be cleared up. Why don't you go ahead and roast those Hummer people? I roasted Hummer people in one of my sets, and it was obviously the wrong crowd, but I still did it, and I'll save that for another story. I'll say it in my 465th podcast episode. How's that? And about Cybertrucks, I feel like Cybertrucks are a little less environmentally friendly, true. I think most people are against Cybertrucks because they're jealous. Because admit it, it is a pretty cool looking toy. And I'm neutral, but I can understand how some big man boy would want that big toy because it looks like a cool toy and they can show off. So I'm pretty sure you're jealous, that's all. Okay, moving on. That wasn't too funny. Superman, say something. I would buy a Tesla. Or it doesn't have to be a Tesla, just any electric cars. That is a good point. It doesn't have to be Tesla. There are a lot of other electric cars coming up. So I don't give a fuck about Tesla or not. It's just electrics are better than gas. That I will say. Period. Moving on. Let us end strong. And I'm going to have a story about my experience with homeless people in LA. I also lived in Hollywood for 2 years, so I'm pretty chill with homeless people. I don't love them, but I like them. A lot of them I talk to. I feel like sometimes they're better than normal people. Am I going to get canceled? No, you're fine. Okay, cool. I've done a lot of actor work, and for many smaller productions, a lot of them rent out studios near downtown LA, like 7th, 8th Street. Something like that, where it's Skid Row. I think it's because it's cheaper to rent there, but it is a pretty run-down area with a lot of homeless people roaming the streets. And I've done so many shoots, I don't remember what was the shoot. I'll just pretend it's the noodle shoot. So I'll do the noodle shoot story with my homeless bit. This is what happens in stand-up. Have 2 true segments and then combine them. Now it's false, but you just use it as your stand-up. You're welcome for the stand-up tip. So I remember that shoot was midday and South Park, no parking lot. So the parking was really hard to find, but there was a spot very close to the studio that was right in front of a homeless person's home. Basically, he had a tent and all his stuff on the street. And that spot is open. I think people avoided that because it's slightly dirty, but it's a spot. So I took it, and the guy was smiling. So I parked my Tesla there. I'm okay with it because in my mind, there is no danger. So there is no danger. Anyway, I don't know how to explain it. But the guy was smiling, so I smiled back. I said, hey. And then we kind of chatted a little. And he knows it's my car. And I just feel like really in the moment. And there wasn't any sort of I feel pity for anybody. But it's, I met a new friend. And I happen to have an apple in my car. So I gave him an apple. And he's like, yeah, thanks. And that was it. And I went to the studio for a shoot. I forgot what shoot. Let's pretend it's the La Noodle. So I was in a commercial with La Noodle. It's a restaurant. I think it's all over LA now. But it was a few years back. And they were doing was it a commercial or a documentary? They couldn't find an actor who can do the noodle pulling thing. So they ended up using the real chef from La Noodle. And the owner was there. And I, of course, was a waiter. But it was legit. I had a hat and a uniform. And it was a fun day. And I got to chat with them because we all speak Chinese. I was pretty friendly with the whole set. I had a really good time. I don't know why. I was just feeling really grateful for some reason to be on the set that day. I had fun, let's just say that. And they ended up having another day to do some other scenes. which wasn't planned. The first day we had maybe 3 or 4 waiters, and the next day they only needed 1 waiter. And I was the one they picked. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so popular. No, it was fun. That's that. And when the shoot day was over, I came out and the street was dark. I've roamed the Skid Row dark streets. I've had to find my car in the dark Skid Row streets quite a few times. I think that's part of why I became the eco bitch. Strong and vigilant and a warrior. I got all that training from all the scares at the Skid Row until I'm not scared anymore. It's actually all in the mind, you know. Anyway, what am I talking about? So I came out and most of the cars were gone because it was at night. All the working people left and my car was almost the only car around that block. And it got pretty shady because people were lolling around, and to a normal person's eye, my car would have been in a very dangerous situation of being vandalized, being broken into. But I don't know, I just saw the whole energy of the car was safely protected there. And I walked next to my car, and of course, the guy was there, and he was smiling again, and he was like, your car's here, is fine. So he was kind of like looking after my car, and I felt so warm because I didn't ask him, and I was slightly worried because it was a chaotic street and another car might have something done to it. But I trusted the dude. We made friends, and now he protected my car. And it was all unsaid, right? Nobody said anything. And it was just a really warm episode when you come out of a shoot on a Skid Row street and see a familiar face that smiles at you. I don't know. Everything suddenly felt safe, and I feel like I could trust humans again. That has been the story. I hope you liked it. Season 1 is over. Please continue to follow, subscribe, like my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and podcast. Or there might or might not be a season 2. That has been the Eco Bitch Actress. See you in season 2.